so that it's more embraced, because we have people that have already associated you with the challenges that we are facing, especially the young people. So that, for me, was the first failure of that. And then I thought that maybe if he had conceived this, he should have probably hidden it to the point that he has a group of across the board. Let's talk about maybe different groups, civil society, religious leaders, academia, whatever, call it, that would come together and probably say that now we are calling for this. They would still face a backlash, because who appointed you to be our leaders to do this? But still, it would not look like it's a one-man person that is calling for this. And there are many other things. So when I look at that, I find that he blocked many people from getting the message of the dialogue to actually looking at him as the person. So the person of Raila stood in the way that it became so difficult for us to get the message. Or personally, let me personalize this so that it's easier to make my submission. It blocked Raila blocked me from getting the message of what he's calling us to do. And I thought that is really something that could have been cleared. You know, the things that you do that becomes noise to somebody's ears, so that whatever you say doesn't even go through. And that's how I looked at it. That's how I thought about it. But then the message itself for the dialogue and all that, the question is, do I support that we need a dialogue? Don't I support it? I've with the young people, the Gen Zs and all that, and the passion with which they are opposed to this brings this question to my mind: who did Raila Odinga have in mind when he's calling for this dialogue? If they probably, in this case, and all of us are aware of this, maybe the Gen Zs are the ones started this kind of movement. All of us, I need is Gen Zote at the moment. Did he have the Gen Z in mind? Is there something would have done differently, groundwork, to be able to at least feel like it either comes from them, or there's a way to harmonize this in the way that it can be communicated? But these things are a little challenging to understand, because it's possible there's a lot that went into it before he announced. But then that reminded me of the protests in France in the 2018. I think most of you saw what happened about the. I think it was about the. Must have been a gas tax. Is it called what? The taxes about the oil hike and all that. So the one lady comes up with a video on Facebook, a French woman posted, because there was a hike in the prices at the pump. People started organizing online. It became a big protest that from the October of 2018 to November 17 of 2018, over 280 people protested, demanding for increase in wages, the issue of better pensions, lower taxes, and stuff like that. A week later, it became very violent. Clash with the police and property damages and all this kind of stuff. Now, what the immediate intervention, as I get, Abdi, just give me 3 more minutes. I will probably want to land on some point. A week later, what happened? There were over 130 people injured as they started now demanding for the resignation of Macron. What happened? The immediate reaction, I think 3 days later, was that the fuel taxes were suspended for at least 6 months. But did they stop the protest? No, they wanted a little bit more. A week later, the Macron addresses the nation. Of course, it increases 100, I believe it's euros per month to boost the minimum wage, the tax relief for the pensions, overtime exemption for that. Now, what I'm trying to arrive at this is that these protests continued until the national conclave we are talking about was called in January 13 of 2019. And it was actually called, funny enough, it was called Transform Anger into Solutions. Transform Anger into Solutions. I launched the topics and whatever it's going to be covered to flash forward is that they held so many meetings, 10,000 local meetings, 2 million submissions online. Everything was done. And later on, of course, all these things were permanently suspended. Now, what I'm finding difficult with this kind of call for dialogue is the issue of people know exactly why people are protesting and going to the streets, and then they are calling for a dialogue when those things are in place. The most logical thing that I would have expected is that if you're going to be genuine about calling for a dialogue, then at the very minimum, if you cannot do away with those taxes, the housing levy, and all these kind of things, at the very minimum, suspend them for a period of either 6 months or 1 year while we're having the dialogue, or whatever period amount of time. Do away, suspend all this calling for the young people and all the Kenyan people to be shot at and others to be killed. Make sure that you're going to rain on your people, especially this kind of surrogates who are going everywhere, trying to talk trash like Kenyans don't matter, Kenyan lives don't matter. So my suggestion is that in the way the things are in the country, it is so difficult for anybody, or especially young people, to believe that this is a call in good faith to dialogue. Why? Because they know that this dialogue needed because of some things, but still they're in place. Using the executive order, these things can be suspended so that when we walk in, if we're gonna get into the dialogue, all these things have stopped. At least the things have come back to some level of normalcy, and then the conversation can be had. But then the question is to talk with who, on what, and how. I will land by saying there's a need to re-engineer this clarion call. I do support that at some point we will end up having a dialogue. Reason is looking many places, whether it's place where we have had genocide in Rwanda, looking to other places, dialogues will be had. The only problem is that you can either have dialogue before bloodshed or you have dialogue after bloodshed. From the look of things, Ruto is not wired in any way to stop the hardline position that he has taken with these kind of minions. So what is going to happen is we have to make up our mind. The dialogue we will have, but on whose terms, how, and when. I pray that we all continue rethinking that this nation is bigger than ourselves. I do appreciate all the comrades in here for the great work that you continue doing. Thank you.
Asante sana. Hillary, are you still there?
Yeah, thank you so much. I've been struggling to hear you guys, but also thank you so much, Kasmuel. I see you. I see so many people. Let us do this. I think we have so many people who want to talk, and also there's so many lines here. Please, when you have time, just take a little bit. I've been struggling to hear you guys, and I don't know what is happening. Nukabel, take it up, and then Josephine, then Steve, in that order. At least, happy to see you guys. Yes, and give way forward. What is the action plans? Thank you so much, Jukabel. Go ahead.
Thank you, Hilary, thank you, Abdi, and thank you for all the speakers who put their points across. I am of the belief that you cannot join a rotten system and expect to change it. When ODM joined Kenya Kwanza government, they had these irreducible minimums that they had listed, and since they joined that government, the very government has kept on breaking those irreducible minimums, and yet they are still in that association. So it tells me that they are birds of the same feathers. So, Kasmuel, I don't want to make this a conversation about you personally, but I can tell you that there's no change you're going to bring in ODM, because the system in there, and I say this as somebody who has been a party member of ODM since 2007. You're not going to change anything there. And I quit that party last year the moment they joined this government. a party that I believed stood for social justice and the rule of law and everything. Yet they decided to join a killer regime. It's not the business of ODM to support a collapsing regime, because our constitution has structures. If a government collapses, there are ways and things that can be done to make sure we have a transitional government before we have elections or appoint a new government. So ODM, UDA, whether UDA still exists, to me right now, they are just the same. And even when you see some of their party members speaking in different voices, they are just trying to cover their asses. They will come and say, oh, you know, Kaluma was saying this, but me as SG or me as a party chairman or me as treasurer, I was talking a different language. Now they will pretend that they have democracy to have their members speak. But when these very members joined William Ruto immediately after election, they were summoned and they wanted to be chased out of the party. So it's all useless. When it comes to dialogue, I don't dispute that we need to dialogue. But let me tell you the kind of dialogue we need. We need the president to dialogue with the police to stop killing people. That is the dialogue that we need. Go speak with the police and tell them it's your role to keep law and order, and keeping law and order doesn't mean shooting innocent people. The kind of dialogue we need is with EACC and the judiciary, that we cannot have corruption cases taking 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, some even a lifetime. Yet we pay you guys every month. The DPP, that's the kind of dialogue we need. The banks, how can we have the cost of credit coming to below 10% so that young people and entrepreneurs can have easy access to credit? That's the kind of dialogue we need. But the kind of dialogue that these people are proposing is the one to keep us at bay. Because this cheese moved last year, and in every space we've been since last year, that has been the language. The cheese moved. Yes, there are still some people who they can control with their narratives and whatever, but this thing moved. And I believe that there's a critical mass of Kenyans who now have started believing in themselves and are probably realizing that we've been caged for so long, but now we have a voice. We have a voice and we can do the right thing. Because it's one thing to constantly wail that, oh, we have bad leaders, we have bad leaders, we have bad leaders. But now we are finding our voice and we are finding it collectively. The rallying call about tribalism, negative ethnicity, if you ask me my individual opinion, I don't think that tribalism is a problem in Kenya, because tribalism is it's a whipping tool used by politicians when they've lost the plot and now they need to find something to create the us versus them narrative, and that's why they resort to it. Because as far as I remember, when I look at the president is from Kalenjin, the DP is from Taraka, the DPM is from Vihiga, the other guy is the speaker is from Bungoma, the majority leader, the minority leader, Migori and Kiambu and so on. So at that level, they are speaking of unity. So if they're united up there, what makes them think that we are divided down here? Because even in this space, we are from different communities and we all agree that what we want is a better Kenya. That's what we want. We don't want I don't care where my president comes from. I don't care where my Speaker of the National Assembly comes from or where the Chief Justice. I don't care about those things. But we've been made to think about those things that are important. That if you have a Speaker of the National Assembly, or if you have a Deputy President, that that suddenly your life will be good. Isn't it yesterday that we were seeing those old women? Was it in Moranga or in Meru, who were building a road by themselves? They are almost over 70 years. Yet, if we go by the fact that the presidency has been in central Kenya or in the Gema region for over 30 years, then what have they benefited? So we need to move beyond that language. So the conclave that Baba is calling, that is called, I call it emotional management. They want to manage this thing so that they buy time and then they find a way of twisting it. Because number one, how are you going to settle on those 40 people? How are you going to settle on the agenda? And for all of us here, there's always a famous saying that if you want nothing done, take it to a committee. Because what it will be, it will be a place where people will be earning per diem, eating lunch, and then discussing other things. And then the committee will retreat to Sarova White Sands to write a report. And then just like the many reports that we've had in this country, it will land somewhere gathering dust because itapitwa na wakati. My rallying call to the young people is that we know what we want and we know what we don't want. Yeah. What we don't want is these career politicians. What we don't want are these people who have been in power since multipartyism started. Because since even some of them have been in politics even before some of us were born. Yet we are now politically conscious and they are still there. So what we need to do is to just get rid of them. And the first way the easiest way of getting rid of them is just ignoring them. Let's do our things. Let's organize ourselves. Yeah, we know what we need to do. Get voters cards, get IDs, talk the language that brings us together. Talk the language that informs everyone about the desire and the nation that we want for our children and our grandchildren. Because I know many young people here, there are so many of us here who probably you cannot get married and you want to get married, but your pocket says no. There are some of us here who are married, but you can't have children because your pocket says no. There are some of us here who are thinking of, oh, I'm tired of living in this single room. I want to move to a bed sitter or to a one bedroom, but your pocket says no. Those are the things that those are the things that are really, really, really collectively disturbing us. Not that Wanjiru is a Kikuyu and Japuonji is a Luo and Hillary is a Luya and that Nyukabel is a Kisi. Those are not the things that are bothering us. The things that are bothering us are the way we want to improve our lives. Those are the things that are bothering us. And so if you want us to sit in a conclave because you politicians have messed up this country and yet you still want to be at the seat of the table, because who is going to lead that talk? Is it going to be the president or is it going to be Raila Odinga? Who are they going to nominate to lead that talk? Who is going to bail the cat? That's the biggest question. Yeah. So it's nonsense. Above all, as I learned, Abdi, above all, we already have a great constitution. This document, the 2010 constitution, has never been fully implemented because the two people that have gotten into power after we approved this document were anti this document. Yeah. So all we need is a leader who will come in and say, Article 1 of the Constitution says this. Article 2 of the Constitution says this. Article 3, up to the last article, what does it say? Can we implement it to the latter? Then, once we start implementing it fully and the way it's supposed to work, then the things that don't work, then we can have a dialogue about the things that don't work in that Constitution, then we can change them. Otherwise, hakuna haja ya kuongea. Sisi tujipange, watu wakutane kwa debe, and then we will see who wins. That's it.
Thank you so much, Nukabel, and we really appreciate that and your views. But you have called for young people or for the people. The action point is chukua kura, verify yourself so that unaweza vote, and also think wisely. And I think Kasmuel said, I hear him that who next, who should come. We need to think on that and also be ready to pick up this thing. Oh, Josephine. You'll be here for a while.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Very well.
Thank you. I salute everyone who has just spoken. And yes, first and foremost, I would want to thank everyone for taking this opportunity to deliberate on this at this pressure point of our nation, because it's very, very key. And I want to start first to say this. Actually, we cannot go and sit down with a person who has killed over 500 people in the last in the last 1 year. Let's say that. So if we cannot sit down with such a person, what can we deliberate about? Because hurriedly, actually, the people he has brought around him, he is hurriedly using them even now to advise him on what to tell us, while he told us last year that we cannot advise him. He had a PhD. Now he's being advised by the likes of Kinajo, so that he can start complaining. We had so and so in power, we had so and so in power, you had so and so in power, and you never complained. Fellow Kenyans, the truth is, even Raila coming in and pretending to call for dialogue, actually they've realized we are not going to back down, and we are going to ensure that actually come 2022, hata yule nyanya wa mashinani atakuwa anajua ya kwamba Ruto astahili, Ruto ni muovu na anaenda nyumbani. And that's why Kasmuel is being sent here by Raila to come and tell us and convince us, which we are not going to accept.
Josephine, I think I don't cut you, but I think as pressure point team, I don't want to believe anybody is sent here. Number two, I want to
Okay,
believe,
thank you.
and number two,
know
I want
that.
to believe that let us not divide our attention. You know, there are so many things that have been happening here to divert our attention. Juzi president alisema kwamba watu washutiwe miguu. Sahii sijui dialogue. Sahii watu walichange nayo ni Kinuthi and everything. Where are we heading to? Are we still in the same course as pressure point team? And that's what we want to hear. Are we still on the same way, the way we started, or we are now getting into their song? Are we the same people, or we are now different? Yes, Jocelyn.
Thank you. I withdraw that, but what I'm trying to say is very important. I want to say this. We have to keep our focus, and our focus is very clear and very categorical. If we will ever bed down to go for the dialogue and all these things, actually we will be betraying the many young people who have already been killed, because their voices will never be heard, and what we decided to go out there and fight for will not be attained. Because right now, actually, they are trying to look for a way to make sure that we actually buy time to 2027, so that when we go to the elections, people are confused and people think Ruto is the only person who can be elected again. So what I can say is that, can we keep our focus? No dialogue. Anybody who thinks that they can do something for this country, Ruto knows it very well, and it's very clear in his mind. He has decided, instead of reviving the factories which have been locked down in the country, which are supposed to give jobs to the young Kenyans, who are so many, over 75% who are jobless, he decided to continue actually issuing licenses to people to continue importing things instead of reviving our companies. So he knows what we want, he knows what we expect from him, but the other day he said it clearly. He cannot give jobs to the youth. Yet when he was campaigning, he kept on telling us that, and I remember here in Mombasa, in Baraki, we were there with him, and I raised the issues to him of reviving the go and import. Their company will only employ less than 50 people, and that 50 people will only be the people from his family. Maybe one person from his see, even our judiciary right now, corruption is coming back again, and we are here seated. We have to keep the focus. We have to keep people who can own up the integrity of our constitution, protect our constitution, and create anything that is required by the citizens of Kenya. And more so, personally, I believe once factories are revived and the people are employed, all these issues will be secondary. But as at now, the corruption is on its top gear. because they are actually sourcing for money for campaigns. They are not actually interested in that. Remember, when you are being given 200, 500 shillings, so that you can vote somebody, one thing you need to remember, it's very simple, that actually what you are doing, somebody has decided to make you a criminal so that he can rule you, and his children he can pave way for his children to come and rule you, because they have just actually they have just badmouthed you to and turned you to a criminal. So, fellow Kenyans, can we remain on our focus?
Okay.
Can we stand firm and ensure that we don't allow anyone to make us look like we are bad while we are good, but you don't get the opportunity to grow and get the opportunity actually to get what we deserve as
Thank you
Kenyans?
so much,
Thank you.
Josephine. Kasmuel, I want to give you I give you a point, but I want you to answer this question, bro. We've seen you last year. You were championing the Gen Z movement, and people were supporting and everything. And in and were pushing these things. The question here is just simple, because we know your stand, you know that you're leading the DM youth leaders and everything. Do you still believe?
And maybe three other pertinent questions that were asked. One, if I did not believe in what we are trying to do as a country, I would not be in this space. Sorry, Hillary, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I
I can
realized.
hear you.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
thought my mic was off. I was saying that if I did not believe in the work that the youth are doing for this country, I would not be in this space. And I said it because earlier somebody said that now I'm under Honorable Odinga, and I said that anyone who knows or has been close, because several speakers have spoken here and have said they've seen how the system works, you know that if you're close to Honorable Odinga, you have access to resources, you have access to a wide array of networks. Now, if I did not believe in this work, I would not need to do that, because the easy thing to do is just lean into those networks and disappear. Because I don't think there's a Kenyan who wakes up every single day being willing to be insulted every single day, to be misquoted, to be a subject of propaganda. So one, I still firmly believe in the work that we're trying to do. But I will tell you the thing that I do not believe in. I said, Hillary, you organized spaces last year. That was your contribution to the movement. You're still here. I participated in the spaces, and a lot of the people who I saw participating, people who've spoken very eloquently, we were all in those spaces last year. And we are still in these spaces this year. And I thank God. But we are still alive. We keep on saying that, let us push forward. But when people die, who sent them? We say that they have nothing to lose but their material conditions. And I agree. And we say that, okay, we do not want dialogue. But I'm saying these people are being killed even in their homes. Last week we saw a young girl die. I'll not even dwell on that. I've seen women being taken off borders and raped. I will not dwell on that. The thing which I'm saying now is we have the critical mass. And we have one thing we did not have last year: the influence of an influential politician who cannot be shot. I'm saying the reason why I'm talking about this dialogue, and anyone who's heard me say it, I've said that one, I have made myself abundantly clear that personally I will participate in the dialogue, and my reducible minimums are on areas to do with police brutality and justice for protesters. I can only speak for my generation. Then I am hoping that somebody else who understands that audit better can do that, and all those other things. But the other thing I can say is, I could decide to join the comfortable side of the Orange Democratic Movement, which is the praise and worship side. That side has very little consequence. Then my life is not in danger. I'm not being hunted by the state. But I am still here saying that I had my sister, who's an amazing community mobilizer. We might have had differences, but I have to give it to her. Wanjira saying that what we need to do is to prepare for 2027. But by Jove, people are still gonna die. But she exists in a system which believes that the most important things we can make of women is tell them, angalia huyu, ebu angalia nyuma udansia, is showing people their behinds. That's what we believe women are good for in this political space that I am saying. That while the dialogue, I know we've had dialogues, but we as the young people have never gone to that table. That's one. But two, it gives us the power of institutionalism, where we can sit down and say, because people have argued that we've had a town hall meeting with Ruto, but we didn't write anything. That was a photo op. But if we say this is a process that could go, this is us invoking Article 1 with a political force that we know will not be shot in the leg. Honorable Odinga will not be shot in the leg by a police because his constituency cannot allow it, and the president, like I said, this government is surviving on his shoulders. I think, and I'm not. This is the hard thing to do. I could stay here in America and say that, oh, I want to do all these things. I want to make a shit ton of money. I want to get a higher education and just recline into private life. But I am just asking that those who can, because if a national process is started and the youth, because there will be youth who will be interested in that process, but it would be unfair if it is only the people, if it is the people you don't believe are supposed to be doing that process, if you do not rise up, because what we're doing now is dialogue. There are very many people who disagree with me here, but we are sitting down and saying, Apana, here, I don't agree with that point you've said. And I think we're being fairly respectful. Personally, I just think that there are those things, the 38 people who are sitting in cells. We could have that as an irreducible minimum, saying that we will not sit down if those people are not out. Cases 1 to 60 that are supposed to have been dragging since last year, if those are not prosecuted in 3 months, in 60 days or less, we will not sit down. We can have irreducible minimums before the process begins and say this is what it is. But us, we are the privileged ones. We are the ones with data and smartphones, and we can afford to live to see another day. But how long will the poor man's child be killed? Does the poor man's child have that insurance till 2027? Personally, I have it. Niseme Aya. Now, I was not around. I could not be shot because I'm in America. A lot of the people speaking here are also in foreign countries. But what are we doing? Who's taking the accountability? Who's saying that today I led people to the streets and they were killed by the police? I cannot tolerate this. We keep on saying that we are this, we are that, but we are not. What are we doing for the poor man's child who keeps on dying? Who keeps on being jailed and locked up? I'm not saying that dialogue is going to change the country's administration. The MPs are such a big problem, but I'm hearing everybody from across the divide. I even had the Emeritus Chief Justice say that we will need to sit some sort of reprieve. I'm just saying, what if we sit down? Because the political class just wants an emotional population. Whether or not the emotion is good, as long as we are emotional, they can know what to do with the emotion. They can know what narratives to shape, what us versus them narratives. But when we sit down, we can say that on this particular day, we sat down as the young people, and it was in writing. And the president promised this or not. Because the other one, he might say it is hearsay. It's just like people, you've seen them deny. People, we've seen photos and videos and audios of corruptions, of shootings, of whatever, but people still say it's hearsay. Personally, I believe this can be achieved. As we organize for 2027, we are saying that, oh, we feel like dialogue is emotional management. But what are we? Because we are dying. Is death better than sitting down and saying, do not kill us? Because personally, I have never been in such a table. Now I have the rare opportunity to sit down and to stand and be counted. And I think it is not an unfair proposal where 50% of the conclave will be young people. Then the other 50 distributed across, because I've heard another person say that civil societies should also be included, the church, but that's exactly what the conclave is suggesting. So if we sit down, I'm just saying, if the best minds can sit down, ensure everyone puts their best foot forward and say that we will fight for justice in this country. We will do whatever it is that it takes. But us sitting down, dialing in from foreign countries, we know we have security and those kinds of things. Who's fighting for the poor man? Apart from leading the poor man to their constant death, what are we doing as citizens to keep them alive? Because already we know we can go for protests. And who says that if the dialogues are not satisfactory to us, that we cannot go to the streets? Because we've shown that we can do that. Why can't we use this unique opportunity where we have the masses and a critical mass, and we have this insurance that we know the government, as rogue as it is, we know it will not shoot this person. The same way it is resting. Yes.
Yeah. So my question is it time to stop inventing new dialogues and manufactured conclaves? Instead, demand the full, faithful implementation of our constitution and existing reforms and blueprints like the Momas draft, the TGRC report, the Dungu report. All these,
Yes.
do you think push for a dialogue is genuine or just a
I,
strategy to line
I
up
am
with
with
the?
you 100%, Abdi, that these things need to be implemented. And we can even say, before a dialogue happens, we need to see the implementation of these things. But I need to remind you that the Emeritus Chief Justice declared these parliaments unconstitutional. We even have a court ruling at the apex court saying that a parliament that does not honor the two-third rules is an illegal parliament. But we still have this parliament running. We still have these MPs. They're the ones who are shitting in our faces, saying that apana, piga risasi uweue, piga risasi sijui ufanye hivi. It's still those same people. And then what are we doing waiting till 2027? Why can't we do? Because I believe it's a time to do right by the country, not what's popular. For me, that's what I'm saying. I might be unpopular, but this thing, if we leave it in the wrong hands again, people will reap where they did not sow again.
I hear
So
you. I hear you,
thank you.
bro.
That's quick. So, Samuel, why has ODM become the praise and worship choir of the regime that continues to brutalize its people, betray reforms, and ignores the cry of the youth? Where is the voice of resistance they once claimed to embody? Or is it, it's always a transactional? Now, do they have a seat at the table? The people can bleed in silence. What do you think? Why don't they just bolt out of this pact, if at all the 10-point agenda of the MOU even cannot be met remotely?
Abdi, I'll tell you the truth. There are people who are in ODM because it was the most convenient vehicle to power. They don't believe in these rights. And you see the party. There are people who keep on speaking on behalf of the people. There are people who keep speaking on behalf of the regime. And ODM is such a big animal that even I do not fully understand it. But I'm telling you that I believe in this thing. And Honorable Odinga also believes in it. It's possible. It's very, very possible for us to get these results that we desire. I might not speak for the whole party, but there's quite a couple of rotten members, and it's hard. I can't answer. I'm just telling you that you know the way it works in this country. Even me imenishinda, but naweza fanya, ninafanya.
Nakolewa. Asante sana bro. Thank you for coming.
Asante.
And I think we might agree or we must disagree, but always as pressure point we welcome everybody on our board because we want to hear both sides. If you say that we don't need this person here, you are not right because we need everybody. We need to, even as we are dialogue and we have a consensus and a way forward. So as pressure point team, we need that openness whereby we dialogue with anybody. And now that one make us get make us get what other people think also. But when we want to think the way we think only, then we will not have another thought of how to look at things. Japuonj then Jojo Uda and Constitutor. Hey, Constitutor, you've been here for a while. Ulipewa mic na ukapotea, lakini ukateta sana. Japuonj, go ahead. In the next 2 minutes,
Hillary.
Constitutor, then
Thank you.
Uda, then
Hey,
Wajiru.
Hillary, give me 4 minutes, please. Anyway, thank you, Hillary. Thank you, Abdi, and Samuel Ametoroka. Anyway, Hillary, I think Kasmuel said that he does not hold it does not hold brief for ODM. He does not even hold brief for Raila. He only hold brief for himself. So technically speaking, there's nothing he can do. So even if we ask him all these questions, nothing can happen. Even Raila himself does not hold brief for Ruto. Let's be honest here. He does not hold brief for Ruto. Ruto is his own person with 17 advisors, which he himself advises on how to advise him. So I think we need to draw that line because this guy, you can ask him anything for fun, but as he said, he just calls Raila and tells him, and he says that Raila already knows what is it that he wants to tell him. So on that note, let me say this. Ruto has called the Riots Act, and Raila is calling for dialogue. So which way, Gen Z? See, when Kasmuel is saying that he is sure that he will be on the table for dialogue, does that mean that he already has a list out? Which criteria was used? You know, these are things that I'm asking myself. He already saying that he will be on the table for that dialogue, and he's saying is the first time he'll be on the table representing who? Gen Z? I don't understand. Anyway, that's his own. That's what I'm saying. Kasmuel is holding brief for himself. You know, if I think we have the power here, Hillary, to have brief with Raila himself and Ruto and understand from the horse's mouth. We don't want someone to talk on our behalf. You know, huh? The other thing is, who has the absolute power here? Yes, Raila has influence, but the buck stops with the president. What is this pride that is preventing the president from coming out bila use proxies, bila these proxies, do we actually qualify to address Kasongo directly? Ama we are of the lesser gods? Because the way it seems, it's like Raila is the one pushing for this dialogue, and Ruto himself is calling on the Riots Act, What is his take on the dialogue? Kasongo himself. We ukimuuliza anasemaje? That is what we need. Is he even pro dialogue? Is it
And
out
the
of
point, that's
goodwill?
why I was
Eh?
saying that we all these things, I think we are losing focus, and we're just
Yes.
waiting what people are saying. Then we build on that, which is to me, I think, is not right. We what is the state of the nation? We know what is happening. So no, what is our way forward? I think if we talk there and we put our conversation there, then we'll have a
Yes.
meaningful conversation and action plans and what we're doing. But when we're
Exactly.
discussing what these people are saying, then no need of even coming here. Then it is good for us to just listen to TV and doing things. I think that what is the action point? Let us not talk about a dialogue. Let us not. I don't think so. I just think that we need to focus of, are we still on the course, or now we want to join political parties and move on as usual? The
Yeah,
point. Finish your conversation.
thank you,
Yeah.
Hillary. Yeah, thank you for bringing it back on point. So Hillary, for me personally, I will say that there is no need for dialogue. 19 years, 26 dialogues, TGRC, name them all. They have all failed because they serve the elite interests. The outcome is the persistent non-trust with sentiments. There is nothing that those 26 dialogues have done for 19 years. So what makes us think that this time it will be right? So the solutions are very easy. Number one, I call out for all Gen Zs to take up the ID and the voters card. IEBC is functional. We have almost, I think, 12 to 15, I don't know the exact number, vacancies available in IEBC. Let's use that as a test. Let's not discuss about dialogues that will not happen. And the person we need to dialogue with is not even concerned. And they tell you, I don't know about it. It's Raila who called the dialogue. I know how this system works politically. It's a blame game. So let's talk about action plan, take ID, prepare for for the voters card and the voting, and let's have a structural plan. Hillary, I've been on the upfront talking about structural format of the Gen Z, but there has been a lot of divides left, right, and center. They don't even agree to come together. There is no unity of purpose for Gen Z. I call it here without fear of contradiction. They are not ready to come together as one. They keep blaming each other, right, left, and center, and accusations of being bought in government. And that is what I know for now.
Thank you,
Thank you so
sir.
much, Hilary. I will not take
Yeah.
much time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Consider, go ahead, and then go George, then Wanjiru.
Thank
2 minutes.
you, Hilary. I know I've waited for so long, but thank you, at least at long last.
No, give your point, bro. Just give your point.
Let
Yes.
me give my point. Us as Kenya, let me take collective responsibility. We have lost it because when you see a national leader going to another country like US, speaking in Kikuyu language, seriously, and it's a key figure in a national leader, we have lost it. Suppose somebody, when we are outside, we are Kenyans. You do not know our tribes. You do not know our tribes, sincere, to be sincere. Then you get somebody organizing a tribal concert in US. Seriously, you have lost it. Second, I like to say the truth and state the truth. Us as Gen Z, we lost it long time ago. The means of communication, it's well stated even in our constitution. Dialogue, it is not in our constitution. But there is an email of presidency in the website of presidency. There's phone number of presidency. Whoever thinks that president is not doing good, do not wait for Raila Odinga every time we keep on saying that Raila Odinga has done this, has not done this. Raila Odinga is like your grandfather at home, who is 80 years. You have the email of president called feedback at president.go.ke. Send your feedback, send your concern there. Do not talk about Raila Odinga. Let somebody, do not talk about Raila Odinga here. At Raila Odinga has said this, Raila Odinga has said this. You have the email of president, you can send your grievances there. Presidency is 5 years term, and you can recall him, you know the system very well. Collect the signature, recall your president. Thank you.
Thank you, Constitutor George Uda.
Thank you, Hillary. Thank you, Abdi. And thank you, everyone. I'll be brief. And the thing is, somebody's talking about Gen Zs being divided and not coming to the Gen Zs are simply following up on their leaders. And their leaders, I don't mean political leaders or anybody. I mean the adults in the room called Kenya. We have bad manners. We don't expect anyone following us to have good manners. I start by that. Secondly, Hillary, I think we need to be honest with ourselves. In the eve of elections in Kenya, Raila was on the opposite direction. Everybody making noise here in this space, plus a big chunk of Kenya, possibly 3/4 of Kenya making noise, was on the opposite side of where Raila was. Today, millions are calling one name, Raila, when a few years ago that Raila was on the other side, standing up and telling people, I'm here, I'm an option. And he was refused. The man has been in the ballot 5 times. He failed. He wasn't elected. Today, it is Raila. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because this is where we lose the war. This is where we lose the focus. Somebody saying we are losing a focus as a country going to speak one language. That's not wrong. There is nothing wrong about our tribes. We are demonizing our culture. There's nothing wrong in that. Do you know what is wrong? What is wrong is every minute we spend debating Raila is a minute we lose from fighting corruption. Every space we use to discuss his past is a space stolen from our future. That man is 80 years old, for heaven's sake. And by the way, every generation plays its part. That man and the likes of Paul Mwite, Gitobu Manyara played their part. They gave you the baton. The question is, what are you doing with the baton? And you know, we also forget, growth is not betrayal. Stop calling something betrayal. The man has grown, is too big for whatever he did 20, 30, 10 years ago. And a revolution that does not allow people to evolve becomes a dictatorship of ideology. That is why when people speak here, they speak with a lot of anger and they forget they're becoming dictators. The man has evolved. Leave the man alone. What you need to do is to continue. If the man talks about a conclave, Raila has talked, Ruto has not said anything. The rest of everybody has not said, and why is it a bother? Is he going to force everybody on the table to have a conclave? We are losing the point. Discussing a man alone, one man. And yet, there are 21 cabinet secretaries seated pretty well in the government. Why are we not talking about them? There are 42 principal secretaries seated pretty well in the government from our backsides. We know them. We live with them. Why are we not asking them why they are still in the government? They are there seated, drawing huge salaries every month. That is the government. They are our uncles. We don't talk about it because they give us, we benefit from them. and we look for the simplest way. The first thing this country need to do as I learned, the 8 million people who chose Ruto must first of all apologize. They shouldn't be the ones who are bleeding more on the people who didn't choose Ruto. Apologize to the country first, then the dialogue can start from there. You can't change the roles and want people to just move easily like that because you're the majority. No. What have you done on the part of what you did? The Gen Zs are told they don't vote much. These people have shown you they can do it. But the majority of adults are misleading them, are calling them names. You know, the next election is going to be different. And that's why I agree while I learn. It is good for the Gen Zs to take IDs. This time round, Gen Zs, go sit in the, after you cast your vote, guard your vote there. Wait for it to be counted. It will count. Show them the difference between talking and doing. The people are talking too much from the point of anger because something they expected didn't happen. Ruto promised people so much. He didn't deliver. Those people he promised are the ones who are bleeding so much, and they're misleading people in some of the things they're saying. I yield.
Thank you so much. I think you give a way forward that Gen Z, it is high time take these states and also take action points, and that's the plan. When we talk about these people, they play their role, and when we dwell on them, then we lose focus. And that's my point always, saying that now we are calling ourselves names, we are calling ours, we are people are rebranding themselves. Is this the point that we were in before, or we are missing the mark? Just the question that should be on our mind. Young people, it is our time. And also, last time you didn't vote. Focus on that. Let us vote. Let us have voting card. Let us verify our voters and let us bring change. When we need change, even the system to change, we cannot change this thing if we are not inside. When we are outside, then we'll be just noise makers. We'll come to the spaces making noise, but there's no action plan. Wanjiru,
Yeah, thank you so much, Hilary. Unachukua literally 1 minute. Um, I just want to say I don't want us to entertain that dialogue thing. Um, it's not something we should be entertaining at the high time where we are saying Ruto should actually go home. Putting a dialogue right now and talking about conclave, we should be in the inside. These are discussions where we are buying Ruto time to kill us more. Let's not entertain dialogue. Let's keep on pushing our MP, recalling our MPs to impeach Ruto to go home. So my point is Ruto must go. My point is our biggest and greatest enemy of this country is William Samoei Ruto and his government and the bad governance that he has. If the government was working for us, we wouldn't be here talking about dialogue this, killing that, buying wheelchair there. We would be having a nation which is working for literally everybody else. So my point tonight is Ruto must go. Let's keep that back in our mind that the genesis of all this that started way back last year was Ruto. How can we actually make him go? One of our action planners, Hillary, keeps saying, let's recall our MPs. We start with Esther Passaris, we go to Kimani Ichung'wah, we go to another one. After we are done, if after you even impeach 3 MPs or 4, we will have to take we have to take our power back. They realize by the way hawa watu wanaweza tu impeach na twende nyumbani. We've pushed those MPs to impeaching Ruto. Because until when will we continue crying our kids are getting killed, wanaitwa terrorist, wanafungwa. Others are taking advantage to even rise to political power using us. Hatutatutumika vijana, tusitumike. Msitumike tafadhali. Ati now you start discussing characters here. Hapana, msijaribu kutumika to speak about characters, to speak about issues that don't matter, to speak about na sasa Ruto akienda nani next? Ruto akienda nani next, hiyo swali tutajibu baadaye, because saizi when you start asking who what next after Ruto goes, now we have to start preparing. You're buying time for Ruto. You're buying time for Ruto to continue. Now we'll have another space. Who next? Who next? Who next? You start buying time for us to be killed. You start buying time for us to be taxed. You start buying time for us to go to hell. you start buying time for everything wrong. So Ruto must go. And thank you, Hilary.
Thank you so much, Manjiro. Thank you so much, Steve. Steve, 2 minutes.
Sorry, I was on mute. Thank you, Hilary, and thank you for those who made contribution tonight. What I wanted to point out is that hii ni serikali ambayo tumekuja kujua ni serikali ya vipindi, serikali ya psyops and propaganda. That's what they do. And this particular one, if you can't see through it, I saw people talking about the Nelson Koech one, that he said that Ruto amesema shoot the leg, mi nasema shoot to kill. You guys should have seen through that. That was just a red herring to make watu get the more outrageous thing so that people now react towards him. Wasao what Ruto said. That was planned. Akaambiwa ende ongea the next day. You could see even the way he was talking about it vehemently, demonstratively, almost overacting. Now people got they hooked it line and sinker, and they went after the MP. Wakasau what Ruto had said, which was the original crime. So tusikue watu wakuchase after these things. So what I would like to say is this: na sisi millennials, mimi I'm a millennial, and our Gen X, tusianze kulaumu Gen Z for what they've done. These guys already have demonstrated that politics can be handled by the common person. All along tumekuwa tukifuata our political leaders, that when they sit at the table and they make decisions, tunafuata what they say. But Gen Z have come wakaambia Raila kaa kando. Who would have said that? That was genius. I mean, kama ingekuwa millennials na Gen X walikuwa hiyo protest ya last year, tungeenda tena tutafute Raila, tumleta tuseme Raila, speak on our behalf, because that's what we're used to. Lakini Gen Z wakuja wakasema kaa kando, we can speak for ourselves. That is the most liberating thing that has happened in politics in Kenya. So that's why we are on this express tonight without a politician, because we know that we can actually do something that can affect how our politics runs. So what should we do then? But let's blame Gen Z. Let us see how we Gen X, we millennials can actually start bringing that organization that we see is lacking in the movement. Because Gen Z, hawana shida, wamesema we can say it's Gen zote, wamekubali. So what have we done? Are we still blaming them for lack of organization? We should be there as adults in the room. We should come together and try to bring some form of order that can help us be able to root out Ruto in 2027. About the conversations with Ruto, I'm a no to that. We're not going to sit down and speak to someone who does not respect the constitution. So you think that if he does not respect the constitution, he's going to respect some MOU that you draft on a table with him? If he has not respected the 10-point agenda, your ODM, that is just barely 6 months old, is he now going to respect a newly formed another 10-point agenda, discussing the same things over and over again? How can you as sheep sit down on the table of a fisi, of a hyena, to discuss about your welfare? This guy has proven that he does not care. It does not care a hoot about the constitution. It does not value human life. It does not care about human life. And that is someone you want to sit on a table who tells you that ukienda kwa hiyo negotiation table, you inject properly, the way I'm doing right now, utafika home safe. Because abductions are still going on, killings are still, utaenda huko inject, hata utafika nyumbani. And then you say you want to negotiate with such a person because he does not respect human life, and he has shown that over and over again. And so we have to stay out. I saw Kasmuel amekuwa akiongea about he's on his way to see the Pharaoh, and he's telling us amepitia kwa where we are, sisi long suffering people, Israelites wenye tuko kwa macamps, amekuja kutuambia guys, I'm on the way to see the Pharaoh, and I just want your blessings. That's what it basically came to do in this forum tonight. Na amepata tukimwambia no, we have seen you before shaking the bloody hands of that Pharaoh, and you're almost bending before him. We know you cannot trust you to go and speak on our behalf. Na tumemkataza, and so he got off the space. Guys, there's no negotiation with the Pharaoh that we're going to do apart from saying, let my people go. We are leaving whether you like it or not. And that is the kind of spirit we need to have. Now you can see what he's doing. They're trying to hold this conversation in this year, 2025, August, so that, and for those of you who doubt it's going to happen, I tell you what, he's going to bulldoze through it. What he's trying to do is to make sure that we don't cross into next year without an adequate sort of dialogue that sort of controls the political temperatures, so that we get closer to 2027, knowing that the closer we get to 2027, the more likely people are going to resume street protest. So he's just buying time, basically, and we can see through it. But in terms of organization, I would say let us organize, let us work together. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Steve, for your contribution. But guys, I usually say that when you say something, let us stick to that. And be a principled person, and also um, be a conscious. Sometimes we act on emotions, and that's why we make a wrong decision. I think Jojo does say something that I would like to echo also, that sometimes even voting, we vote with emotions, and when we do that, then we lose it. And when we see the problem, we start blaming ourselves, start blaming people. But that is not the point. The point here is we have seen what is wrong. We need to go to the right direction. So we not need to even dwell on the things that is happening across and everything, because you're seeing this thing all the time. Tomorrow we will hear other things coming in. Oh, sijui nini, oh, cousins, oh, these are the things. Nikasikia watu wengine wanajiita cousin, kwani hatukuwa cousin before? And these are the things that they bring to us and get into our heads, and then we start losing the focus. Dr. Idris, I want to give you exactly 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Hillary, and thank you, other people. Let me go straight to the point that Kenya does not need, that Kenya needs a political evolution, but not deception. Kenya right now is at a turning point, and the youths have awakened, are no longer willing to be manipulated. The so-called the national conclave, I think it is just something to mislead us, because these people, they are trying to manipulate us using the old narrative and using the old political tactics. To me, I don't agree with the national dialogue or the national conclave, because we have seen those conclave before and nothing has bear fruits. What we need right now is a political evolution, a break from the past and not a remix of it. So, on the point of the state of the nation, one thing I myself I am thinking about is it is a high time as agencies, as the millennials, and the rest of the members of this country to think about the future of this country, because we have been there before. This is a government that does not care about its citizens. This is a government that does not care about the future of this country. Raila Odinga had been in various governments, starting from Moi up to this one. So we need, this country need what we call political evolution. We need to shed the old skin and adapt the new skin. We need to leave these old politicians, because these are the people who had been dragging us back. So it is my plea to us, the Gen Zs, the millennials, and all other Kenyans. Let's focus on one thing: Kasongo must go. In order for
Thank you.
us to make
Mhm.
sure that Kasongo must go, let's take our ID, let's take our electoral card. Thank you. I yield.
Hillary, are you speaking?
Tabi nasikia Idris.
Idris dropped.
Yes, I can hear. No,
Okay.
Idris on the drop.
General China, 1 minute, then Beatrice, then Budangori, then Dronyo.
Thank you very much. I hope I'm very clear. So, the future of this nation cannot depend on dialogue. So, the conclave dialogue, we have seen how it has been structured, how the people have been called. So, we young people, we single ourselves from that conclave dialogue. You can just engage the clergy and the elderly that will be able to attend that, the so-called dialogue. We are not after that. Thus, we are after changing this government. And I'm seeing so much people, very many people are against us, saying that the way we are doing our stuff whatsoever, with us, we don't like long processes. Like you tell us, this one will take these months, this one will take 2 years, this one we like things that are going faster. That is why we always think of the simplest way of sending this guy home.
China, what is happening? Man, Beatrice, go ahead.
Thank you, Hillary. I want to throw in a spanner. I know here we've talked about dialogues, we've talked about root of these, we have talked about politicians and all that. But I would like to say that the reason where we are right now was predicted by a philosopher called Socrates when he talked about democracy. Yeah, where he says one of the fears he had about democracy is demagogues arising and manipulating the people, and majority of the people lacking wisdom on how to go about politics will end up just voting, through populism. And then we see in the late 19th century, around to the early 20th century, we saw, nationalism, those socialism coming up. But majority of the time, it was more of popularism. So people who had virtues or who are thinkers were not actually, they were slowly swallowed down the line. They could not come up to, participate in most of these politics. And those who are popular were the ones who are getting voted. So in the modern day Kenya, that is what we are struggling with. And that's why we keep insisting we have a political and an economical problem. But because we have already embraced democracy, what we need to ask ourselves is how do we go around the fear Socrates had and ensure that the people we put into power are people who are knowledgeable and they have virtues. In essence, what am I saying? I want to challenge each and every one of us. We need to be a thinking nation. We need to move away from politicians who give us tokens. Those ones who just promise us, I'll put for you a cattle dip, I'll put for you roads, I'll put for you for a hospital. Those tokens, those like goodies. Like we are like waiting, we are stretching our hands, waiting for politicians to trickle down all these goodies upon us. And this is what has brought this problem. So the competition comes, whoever speaks, big goodies, like the way William Ruto came and lied to us. I'll give free Wi-Fi, diapers will be free, pads will be free. Those are goodies. And here, Kenya, majority of the Kenyans went and decided to vote in that. And look where we are. So now we need to shift to a level of a thinking nation. Now, when someone comes and tells us, I'm going to digitize this country, they need to tell us how, so that we can know what is the thinking capacity of this individual. When somebody says, I'm going to ensure there'll be 1 million SMEs happening in this country, they need to tell us how, in terms of regulations, in terms of policies, what are you going to do? Not just telling us 100 SMEs, I'm going to create 1 million jobs, I'm going to, and then you come and tell us through housing levy, or through building of houses. So how sustainable is that? So we need to start challenging each and every one of us. So I've had people here saying we're going to recall MPs. That's a good thing, and impeach them. Then ensure the people you replace them are thinking people who have a broad vision. Because let me tell you, the art of thinking is a difficult one, and most people do not like engaging. Like today we saw in Roiro, I think it was the deputy president and an MP. They went to they called it empowerment, and they went with border, went with those machines, tractors, and all that. But you see, the people they were going to award those empowerment tools, the portion mills, and all those things, they had pre-selected these individuals to attend that event. But shock on them, the youth came and created chaos in that place and took away all those things they were calling for empowerment. So that if this is PR, today the youth told them, "Amtafanya PR na sisi. We are going to take these things away." But let me ask you, so if that individual has taken that ndudi or that portion meal, then what? Because that's a goodie, then what? What happens next? So how does that solve their problem in the long run? So I think where we are at, for me, my suggestion is that once we decide to go in a certain direction, each and every individual of us, you could be there in the US, you could be there in the boardroom, you could be wherever. Can we start doing what we call the thinking bits? And then moving forward, we need to sensitize the populace, because we already here, as Socrates had prophesied. But now we need to start challenging people. So when they tell you nitaleta maji hapa, which philosophy is that person going to apply to ensure that water will be here with us, but also in the long run going to be used by generations to come. When someone comes and says, I'm going to ensure there will be free education or free university education, what is the philosophy guiding that individual to ensure what is backing them? Are they looking at the tenders they are going to give the individuals? Yeah, today I had like someone like Miguna saying the reason why he supported Uhuru, William Ruto, is so that he can come back to Kenya, because that's the only way he could have come back to Kenya, because had he supported Raila, Hangawai Rudi Kenya. So in essence, he supported that guy so that he can come back to Kenya. You see, some of these things we actually argue, and you look at, so for you voted for Ruto for self-preservation. So, and these are the thinking minds we are expecting in this country. So I'm challenging us, let's now move into a thinking nation. Anybody who desires to be that leader, anybody who desires to lead a nation or lead a group, even leading a corporation or even leading a parastatal, so that when we get these politicians or these MPs, when they vet these people, like someone is voted in or suggested to be the chairman of a certain parastatal, when he comes on board, we should ask hard questions. Forcing this person to think on how are you going to ensure this parastatal does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
That can only happen when we vote in MPs who are actually think